Fashion Week 2014. And I'm sitting with the one and only Stefan Caras and Kyriako. Caras. I've pronounced it right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, Stefan, we love your collection.
Thank
Everybody knows everything that you are when it comes to quality, luxury, delicious, as they say. So please tell us a little bit about what have you prepared for us for this 2014 spring.
Well, we're still in the process of preparing it. And for this spring, as always, we always think around femininity and innovation. We have always in mind that our clothes should be timeless, but nonetheless they should look current.
Oh, beautiful.
And therefore we try to reinvent ourselves all the time by using fabrics in a different way, marrying it with different trimmings and combinations of textures and colors. And that's where we're at. Long time to remember. Well, I started as a child, really. My sister was a designer, and as a child I spent a lot of time in her studio playing with scraps of fabrics, threads and everything, and the colors always fascinated me, and the textures and I started experimenting, and I started to love it. And as a young teenager, I was making my own shorts. I even was making sandals out of fabrics,
Wow.
Then I started to really feel about it when I finished with college, and I was 17, 18. I thought wow, this is something. I got really into more serious and more passion. That's where I created my passion, because I was able to master things and create shapes and things that I wasn't able to do before. But then when I started to accomplish the whole garment, for instance, something, I was always eager to create a new shape of a collar, a new sleeve, and things like that. So it has remained that way since then.
Oh, wow. So the education, it's, I'm just going to look at my notes over here. It's at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, the Fashion Designers Academy of Melbourne. So you went there, so that enhanced and grew you?
Yeah, well, the college, before I went to any of the schools, I knew how to master draping, cut, make garments through my sister's studio, right? I grew up that way. But at school, it was more like a formal kind of education around the industry. It was more commercialized, way of learning the industry. And what I had learned in the past helped me to kind of combine the two together, and still to this day we can do, maybe that is the reason, we take haute couture details and ways of making garments, but we make it into the ready to wear, because I have been able to marry the two, or create ways myself, because I have the knowledge of both sides. Sometimes I find a middle ground where I can express that.
Tell us a little bit about working with your father, and what do you do guys together? Give us a little bit of history. Give us a little bit of information.
What a journey! I tell you, it's been.
Should he be saying that, or should you be saying that?
Well, when the son says it, right? It's quite the journey. No, I mean, ever since I was a child, all my memories are being in the studio, involved, with seeing everything around me, what was going on in this industry. He had me sewing sequins onto design concepts on pieces of paper.
Wow.
Playing with different fabrics, just learning about shapes and just being immersed in that whole world. So my entire life has been a growing process and being involved in this industry and learning step by step, to the point where we are now, where we're actually designing together. We're working together.
How does that work?
Working
with your dad.
I tell you,
a dream come true.
It is a dream come true. You know what? We're very blessed. My dad I see him as my best friend. He's my best friend. And growing up with my father, we have such a great relationship and so much respect for each other. I have so much respect for my father as a designer, and growing up seeing him involved and seeing the passion that was involved and all the hard work he's put in, I've grown a huge respect for this industry. So working together when he's describing things to me or growing up and he's teaching me a few things, showing me, the ins and outs and the technicalities of designing. I respected that, and I always did. So being best friends on top of that, we respect each other's opinion as well. So when you're trying to express something like a design concept or a piece of art, how do you come to terms with somebody else who's thinking about something abstract or maybe a design in their mind? But when you have such a close relationship with somebody, you understand and you respect it and you work it out. And there's always a little bit of tug and pull, or sometimes we completely agree, or sometimes we completely disagree. But in the end, because of that respect, we come to a nice.
But you know that rule.
Yeah.
Dad's always right.
Dad's always right. That's always right. Yeah.
Now, please, Stefan, tell us, and how does it feel to work with your son?
Well,
And I see you've done some of those things that you learned from your sister.
Yeah.
So you got him in the shop early
it's a
too, huh?
repetition. Like, I mean, he reminds me of me being a young child with my sister, and then as he said, he grew up basically in my studio, and it is a blessing. It is a blessing because besides the personal relationship we have a wonderful relationship working together because. When you're working with art, you do come to the point sometimes where you have insecurities, you're maybe overreacting to some things. It's just like the moods you're going through when creativity is involved. And there's a point sometimes where you think, maybe I'm overdoing it, maybe I have not reached enough where I want to get to. Mm-hmm. And this is where we get together, and he's a great help,
Oh, wow.
Because when he sees something that I don't see, it enables me to see it then and say, yeah, that's what I was looking for.
That's so beautifully said.
So it is a wonderful relationship working together as well. It's just personal, then a working relationship,
Sure. Well, I was born and raised here in Toronto. And like I said, growing up in the studio, in the factory, and constantly being around this work, it's been a lifelong education in terms of fashion. Mm-hmm. I've also studied at the University of Toronto for archaeology, which is
archaeology.
Yeah, archaeology is something.
Wow, archaeology, fashion.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll tell you. There's a saying: if you always feel like you're in your comfort zone, you're never growing. So growing up in the industry and watching the passion that my father had for fashion, he also respects a lot of things like music and theatrical arts and all the different things that kind of come together, because when you open up your mind to new concepts and designs, and you're able to apply that artistically into whatever you're doing. So in terms of history, I had a huge appreciation for culture and history, and constantly traveling to Greece to visit the family. I was exposed to all that ancient history and culture, and it was enticing. It sparked curiosity.
I see the vision,
right? So it drove me. And what he taught me is, you love something, you chase it, and you don't let it stop you. And you have the passion for it, and you just go for it. It doesn't matter how hard it is, or how different it is. You never know where that road is going to take you. So I started, and I got more curious and more excited, more involved in culture, in the arts, and in studying history. You do that. You open yourself up to different concepts, different cultures, and the arts, which eventually brought me back here, and I was able to apply a lot of that to working with my father.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's actually, I can see the vision of understanding history, fashion, and culture, how they've evolved. Now, Stefan, if you don't mind me asking you, what inspires you for designing? What are you inspired by when you design? What goes in there and comes out?
Well, this is a very tricky question, and it's asked most times. Mm-hmm. And I always answer the same way.
No, give us something different. From the heart.
I tell you, the two things that help me get into the creative mood and get going. One is the beauty I have for beauty. I mean, the respect that I have for beauty, mm-hmm. and the love for gentle beauty. And also the respect that I have and the passion for my work. My own work inspires me a lot. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think in advance what I'm going to do.
Oh, okay.
I never plan 3-5 months prior to my collection. I am just building up somehow, building up. During this time prior to collection, we're sourcing fabrics and this and that, and I believe everything is about chemistry. We select fabrics that we connect with chemistry. I will not buy a fabric that I don't connect with, because I know there's nothing I can do with it that will satisfy me. And I do that with the trims, with whatever fabrics, materials we use. Once everything is here, immediately I'm connected with it. It's like meeting people in different places for an event in the future. Eventually the future comes, the event comes, and you meet the people you have met before. You see the people that you've met before. Therefore, it's more comfortable to create an atmosphere, to create an event, rather than just meeting strangers. So my fabrics are my friends already, and I have the chemistry with those fabrics. And I start. Once I start, a plethora of ideas and plethora of shapes comes into my head and can't stop me. So this is what helps me get creative. Also with having in mind femininity. Whatever I do has to be feminine. It has to be, I design for women. I want women to look feminine. Woman has femininity that exudes, and a lot of times we don't know it. And that is what dressing is about. Women dress to express herself. Whether it's work, whether it's formal, whether it's fun, okay? You put something on that expresses you, represents you at that moment, and you want to exude what you have within you, okay? So it is an expression. To me, fashion is an expression. We express ourselves, how we feel, how we are, who we are.
Wow, I see the passion in you right now as we speak. Oh my God, beautiful.
So that's how I get inspired, and it never tires me. And I don't necessarily need to go someplace to see some beautiful environment or this or that, and say, oh, that inspires me for this. Other people are. It's just like the individuals. But I am this way, and I cannot say other things than what really inspire me.
Now, let's ask you this question that we've been asking a lot of our designers that are appearing for the 2014 World MasterCard Fashion Week. If you have advice and there's somebody who's starting up, what are some of the pitfalls that you didn't have a chance to look at? What would you talk about? You got to be careful of this. What advice would you give to these designers, these young, these up and coming?
Well, there's a lot of advice to give there, and I do that with a lot of young kids that are going through the schooling process now, and they ask these questions and stuff. There is far too much in this industry that are traps, really. The young people, a lot of times, what they think of the fashion industry is fun. It's runway shows and this and that.
Reality television did that.
They look very much like acting. You see 5 very successful people and you think that's what I want to be, which is not wrong. That's an innovation and that is something to get going. But in our industry, a young designer starts against all odds, really, because today advertising is a very important factor as to how you can progress and become known. You can't get that. It's too expensive. And most starting designers really don't have that, and I certainly didn't. Then they start with not enough knowledge about the industry. Our industry is like a science, construction, engineering, how you do things, how you calculate things, how you make things that you don't waste once you get into production. Wasting, financing is another thing. Coordination between the creativity and the productivity in the industry.
Wow, the schematics.
It's a lot. And you need to work many hours because you don't have that knowledge and you're bombarded with all these things. Therefore, you try to resolve it. Like when I started, I was working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week.
20 hours.
Today, I still work every day, maybe not 20, but I work 12, 14 hours every day.
Wow.
Because it's always, I respect what I do, and I'm thankful to have what I was able to get, but I got it through hard work, and my knowledge has helped me. And you learn as you go along. But if you make a mistake along the way as you're learning, you're set back and maybe can never pick up yourself up again, you know. What has helped me in the most way is my technical knowledge, the sewing, the explanation that I have to do in the factories, the sewers, like how to produce something in a more efficient way. When I design, how I design with the production in mind, like who's going to be sewing this, how can they do it, can they do it, what's the easiest way for them to do it. I simplify things for them.
Experience. We see this in your collection every time. Oh my God, I can't say it enough times. It's beautiful, it's luxurious, and it's got quality. You see, that is a rare thing nowadays.
Well, it is, and that is also what I was saying earlier, like designers, young designers, once they leave schools, they don't have enough knowledge. In the older days, designers used to spend time with a master couturier for 7-10 years before they could say, I can do it myself.
Oh, wow.
They never went to schools. They went with a master designer, a couturier, that it takes time, the process. You start working, they start teaching you how to hold your thumb, your finger, how to sew, like on a simple piece of cloth, which I've done with Kyriako. Then you get into one thing after the other, and as you master one little thing, you do more and more and more.
You grow.
And then it's up to you how much passion you have to continue, how much innovation you have to take it a step further, and differentiate yourself from the rest if you can. Because there's a lot of talented people out there, but sometimes they lack the experience, or they lack the finances, they lack the commitment, and you will fail. It's just like a brutal really profession to be a designer, but at the same time, for me, it's the most wonderful thing because I don't think I could do anything else. I could, but I would not do anything else. And I can't see myself ever, as long as I'm healthy, stop working.
Now, Kyriakos, is there a particular collection that you're looking forward to at this World MasterCard Spring Fashion Week 2014?
I tell you, I have a tremendous respect for all the designers and creativity in general. So, you know, one year's collection is different than the next. Everybody expresses themselves in their own way. What I find important, especially for young designers, is to come together, to have a strong support for each other and the support of the arts and expression. So, you know, I look forward to looking at all the shows and seeing, you know, new innovations, new talents, and, you know, new design concepts that come out and showcase them on a stage, a Canadian stage, for Canadian fashion designers, because as young designers, we need to promote Canadian fashion. Mm-hmm. We need people to think, wow, Canada's, you know, they've got some talent, like, let's showcase it.
Sure,
so
we do.
exactly. So you know, all the designers should go to every show and, you know, come back after stage and say, you know, that was beautiful what you did, or I love that concept. You know, I didn't think of it this way. You know, and just open up discussion and create an atmosphere of fashion in Toronto and Canada that could be strong and people respect in the future. So you know,
that's an idea.
Yeah,
Fashion Board Canada.
Exactly. So I mean, and you know, young designers, or you know, designers, you know, who have tons of experience, have been out there forever. It doesn't matter. There should be an air of excitement and all this energy in promoting and helping young designers, because like my father said, it is a very difficult industry and it is important. You know, whoever can help each other, it's great. So I look forward to seeing everybody. There's not one particular designer that I necessarily have to see every year. I have respect for new ideas, you know, year after year, to see new concepts and new creations.
Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. You have really made us feel comfortable. I love your studio. It is gorgeous. And We're looking forward to your new collection, and hopefully we'll get another chance with you guys again in the future. Thank you so much, Kyriakos.
Thank you very much.
I see
Thank
you were
you for
doing
having
it.
us.
Oh, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It was our
Stefan.
pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us. Well, guys, this is a wrap from Fashion Weekly, and we will get back. Thank you.